So good morning and good evening. We'll start the Friday study circle. Where we are doing the book study. We are taking up the book, The Sunlit Path, which again, as a reminder that Mother, it's a compilation of passages of what Mother has said, and Mother has reminded us again and again that not to take her words as mere words, and that they are forces in action. So we have just ingathered ourselves and just aspiring and praying for suppleness and openness and courage to take what we need to take, what we must take from these teachings, from this force of Mother to move towards more light, simplicity, and harmony. Today we are starting with a new section, and the title is Courage, Endurance, Effort. So the first passage is fear is an impurity. So if anybody has the capacity, they can read the passage for us. It's a small one.
Yes. Fear is an impurity. Fear is an impurity, one of the greatest impurities, one of those which come most directly from the anti-divine forces which want to destroy the divine action on earth. And the first duty of those who really want to do yoga is to eliminate from their consciousness with all the might, all the sincerity, all the endurance of which they are capable, even the shadow of a fear. To walk on the path, one must be dauntless and never indulge in that petty, small, feeble, nasty shrinking back upon oneself, which is fear. I'll just read that one more time. To walk on the path, one must be dauntless and never indulge in that petty, small, feeble, nasty shrinking back upon oneself, which is fear. An indomitable courage, a perfect sincerity, and a sincere self-giving, so that one does not calculate or bargain, does not give with the idea of receiving. Sorry, I'll just read that. Um, an indomitable courage, a perfect sincerity, and a sincere self-giving, so that one does not calculate or bargain, does not give with the idea of receiving, does not trust with the idea of being protected, does not have a faith which asks for proofs. It is this that is indispensable in order to walk on the path, and it is this alone which can truly shelter you from all danger.
Yeah, thank you, Jagan. Yeah, welcoming reflections, comments. This yoga, this says the yoga for which one has it's like we are preparing ourselves, right? Towards something more, something higher. And purity is really needed for that. Like again and again in so many things that we read, the importance of being pure of being sincere is stressed so many times, because these impurities, they act like, again, slippery slopes. You do so much, and then something in us, pulls us back, something in us pulls us back. And when it pulls us back, it really hurts, right? That, oh, how did that happen? How did I slip again? And then if one is aware, if one can reflect, one will see, oh, this is something that I thought, this expectation, this demand, this image got me back to, I don't know, point one or two, don't need to give a number. So it's beautiful here when mother is, and fear we all feel, we all have our own fears. And she's saying, and I, love how always when it's Sri Aurobindo and mother, there's no maybe, there's no mostly, there's always, we are in our world, we are so used to these giving disclaimers and putting in a little bit of, okay, 95% or 99. But when they say, it's like absolute, so that there is no doubt, so that our mind cannot come and say, oh, maybe I am those 5% and it will happen for me. So the certainty, the force with which it is said, I think it's beautiful. So yeah, please, if there's anything before we take it up line by line. Okay. So mother says that fear is an impurity, one of the greatest impurities, one of those which come most directly from the anti-divine forces which want to destroy the divine action on earth. And the first duty of those who really want to do yoga is to eliminate from their consciousness, with all the might, all the sincerity, all the endurance of which they are capable, even the shadow of a fear. Know how in stories, especially when we explain, I guess, Dashera to children, like Ram, Ravan, it is said that there's a Ram in you and there's a Ravan in you, or we can say, those black wolves, white wolves, these stories are so familiar and popular. So here again, it is being said when it's saying anti-divine forces, so the Ravan in me would lead to fear. The Ravan in me would be open to it or feel the fear. And it's so explained beautifully later on about how, because we are scared of so many things, we end up doing a lot of, the proof, the protection. I mean, that's what we are scared of not being there, of being hurt. So most directly from the anti-divine forces which want to destroy the divine action on earth. And the first duty of those who want to do yoga is to eliminate from their consciousness, with all the might, all the sincerity, all the endurance of which they are capable, even the shadow of a fear. So much work to do. Yeah. To walk on the path, one must be dauntless and never indulge in that petty, small, feeble, nasty shrinking back upon oneself, which is fear. And if if we have ever been able to look at fear closely, or whenever there is this little me, which is saying, what about me? What about my expectations? A lot of time there too, we feel that smallness, we feel that shrinking, that you're pulling something in rather than spreading out. So dauntless and never indulge in this petty, small, feeble, nasty. So these are the adjectives mother has given fear. an indomitable courage, a perfect sincerity, and a sincere self-giving. So courage, because fear usually tells us, right, that I'll be hurt if I don't do this. I'll be unsafe if I don't do this. What about me? My securities, my safeties, my fallbacks, all the things that, an intelligent society brings with itself. That I have to look after myself. The insurances, the assurances. So perfect sincerity and a sincere self-giving. When I was, when Jagan was reading this is something that struck me the hardest, that a sincere self-giving. Because usually it's a lot is about me, right? What about me? What will happen to me? Like I was just saying. But when it is giving, I think then again the fear would be less. But when the mode is self-giving, so that one does not calculate or bargain, does not give with the idea of receiving, does not trust with the idea of being protected. So usually, I don't know, I want to say mostly or all the time when we give, there is something in us that what I will get in return. Maybe just an acknowledgement, maybe just a smile or more, but does not give with the idea of receiving, does not trust with the idea of being protected. And usually that's how we are told, right? Okay, read Hanuman Chalisa because then Hanumanji will protect you. No, I don't know, worship Ganesha because he is the god of, I don't removing of obstacles. Like usually because our approach is means to an end, even religion, spirituality, a lot of times the way it's given to us, ask for a wish and then say, okay, I'll give a prasad for 500 rupees or so. So that's how this, so does not trust with the idea of being protected, does not have a faith which asks for proofs. And there's something in me which is always looking for these proofs, these assurances, these, receivings that, okay, this proves that God loves me. Oh, everything is good. It is this that is indispensable in order to walk on the path. So, indispensable, she's not saying important, she's not saying whatever, but indispensable, that it cannot be without this. And it is this alone which can truly shelter you from all danger. So it's, even reminding me of what we were reading, I think yesterday in the session, where it said that, where was that? That if you fear, you actually open yourself to more dangers. Which session was that? I forget. That if something is happening wrong, do you remember that
कोई
if you actually
आपके प्राइवेट सेशंस होंगे, मुझे तो याद नहीं आ रहा.
नहीं, या फिर अच्छा इंटीग्रल हीलिंग में था इस वीक में शायद ना, इस वीक तो
अच्छा,
हमने करा ही.
सैनिटेशन एंड हेल्थ में था शायद लास्ट टाइम.
हाँ हाँ, उसमें था ना कि बिकॉज इफ यू जस्ट ओपन, इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट,
या
you will just fall further down. Yeah. So again and again, the importance of being fearless. Kabir, Surma, Sri Aurobindo's Aryan, countless work, ways in which this can be said.
I think Meera wanted to.
How about a little more light on this? Does not have a faith which asks for proofs. What does it actually mean?
I don't know, for me, how it's like we are used to having, say, if there is a saint, if there is a mystic, okay, Sai Baba, miracles. What did Ram do? Ram killed Ravan. What did Krishna do? He did the Gita thing. We are so used to, hence proved that even in our faith, even in our who we worship, who we adore, who we know is my God, is my, we are always asking for some little proof कि ये हो जाए, that means I am taken care of. Or maybe show me a sign, show me a symbol, show me you are there. Because I'm so used to receiving everything materially. Like when I don't know, read, say some story of a sadhak and I hear about their experiences, there is some little desire or something in me which would say, oh wow, this also is a possibility. Maybe one day it'll happen to me, something like this. So this thing kind of shows that I don't know, I'm looking for something, right? To prove that yes, I was right. A lot of times this thought has come to me, that why did Sri Aurobindo or Mother, didn't really spread that much, or why would they not be, why weren't they not louder enough so that more could hear? Because they didn't need to do that. But there's something about proof that, okay, if you have so many followers, or if people can, I don't know, if more people are worshipping you, then there is more in you. But that's my limited means of understanding, right? There's my limited means of perception. I think I'll stop. I'm sure there would be more reflection on this.
No, another way just to in alignment with what you were sharing, कि हमारी सोच होती है छोटी, है ना? वही जो आप प्रूफ्स की बात कर रहे थे कि उसी सोच के हिसाब से हम भगवान को भी मानना चाहते हैं ना, कि हम भगवान को क्योंकि मानते हैं तो हमारी सोच के हिसाब से जो हमें मिलना चाहिए वो मिलना चाहिए. अगर इसका मतलब नहीं मिल रहा तो मतलब भगवान मेरे साथ नहीं है या मेरी पूजा व्यर्थ गई, है ना? तो अगर मान लो मुझे बीमारी हुई है, तो अगर मैं बहुत ज़्यादा हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ने लग जाऊं, या है ना शीतला माता की पूजा करने लग जाऊं, या वॉट एवर जो भी मुझे रेजोनेट करे कि हाँ किसी ने बोला है कि हाँ मदर की तरफ मुड़ जाओ तो ऑल विल बी हील्ड, तो अगर मेरे दिमाग में ये सेट है कि अगर मेरी जो बीमारी है वो गायब नहीं हुई, इसका मतलब मदर इज नॉट विद मी, है ना? यही तो समझते हैं हम, है ना? हीलिंग का मतलब हमको लगता है कि फिजिकल लेवल पे वो हील होनी चाहिए. मतलब मेरी जो पूरी बीमारी है वो बिल्कुल गायब हो जाए, छू मंतर हो जाए, तब मुझे समझ में आएगा कि मदर मेरे साथ है और मेरा फेथ काम कर रहा है ना? तो आई फील दैट इन जस्ट इन अलाइनमेंट ऑल्सो, व्हेन वी ऑलवेज आर लुकिंग फॉर टैंजिबल प्रूफ्स, और जो हमारी लाइकिंग के हिसाब से हो, कि बीमारी हमें पसंद नहीं आती क्योंकि वो हमें अटैक करती है, तो अगर मैं भगवान की तरफ मुड़ी हूं तो मेरी बीमारी हट जानी चाहिए. इसका ये प्रूफ होगा कि भगवान मेरे साथ है. और मजे की बात यह है कि ऐसा फेथ, दिस इज व्हाट वी वर रीडिंग, टू हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ फेथ दैट बीमारी रहे ना रहे, दैट बिकम्स टोटली इमटेरियल. इट इज नॉट इवन सेकेंडरी, इट इज टर्शियरी, इट इज आउट ऑफ योर माइंड. वो आपके दिमाग में नहीं है कि बीमारी है नहीं है, मैं जिंदा हूं नहीं है. आपका फेथ इज एनफ. फेथ इज नॉट अ मीन्स टू एन एंड. जैसे कि हमारी जो यूजुअल जिंदगी में हर चीज एक मीन्स टू एन एंड होती है, जो भी तरु शेयरिंग ऑन दैट, कि अच्छा शादी क्यों करनी है, ताकि कहीं सेटल हो जाए. अच्छा सेटल हो गए तो अब क्या करें, अच्छा बच्चे करने, बच्चे क्यों करने हैं, क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम पास हो जाए, है ना? बेचारे बच्चे. तो हर चीज जो भी हम करते हैं वो एक मीन्स टू एन एंड होती है. एजुकेशन क्यों करनी है, ताकि एक अच्छी जॉब लग जाए. अच्छा अच्छी जॉब क्यों लग जाए, ताकि आगे पैसा मिले. पैसा मिलेगा तो मतलब आगे आगे आगे. हम ये नहीं देखते कि हम जो चाह रहे हैं, जो अल्टीमेट कंटेंटमेंट या हैप्पीनेस हम चाह रहे हैं, वो अभी भी हमारे पास अवेलेबल है. वी डोंट नीड टू बी सो ट्रांजैक्शनल टू मेक एवरीथिंग एज अ मीन्स टू एन एंड. और तभी मदर, जैसे हम अभी पढ़ रहे थे, दैट इज वाई इट इज सो डिफिकल्ट टू फाइंड सिंसियर पीपल. वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट. इवन रिलेटिव डिग्री ऑफ सिंसियरिटी, क्योंकि सबके दिमाग में कहीं ना कहीं है, इससे मुझे क्या मिलेगा, इससे मुझे क्या मिलेगा, इससे मुझे क्या मिलेगा. सबके दिमाग में. बहुत रेयरली कोई एक ऐसा बंदा मिल पाता है जो एक सेल्फ ऑफरिंग के ही भाव से काम करता हो, उसको एक्चुअली में कुछ चाहिए नहीं है. टू फाइंड अ पर्सन लाइक दैट who is just offering himself and not demanding anything from the world, very very rare, very rare. Even in the middle of ashram premises, very rare. क्योंकि अगर आपको मटेरियल गेन नहीं चाहिए होगा आश्रम में रहते हुए, तो आपको रेस्पेक्ट चाहिए होगी, आपको एक्नॉलेजमेंट चाहिए होगी, है ना कुछ आप भिखारी रहोगे, है ना किसी फॉर्म में। तो सोच के देखो, मतलब कि टू हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ फेथ कि आपकी जो सारी बेगिंग है, जो सारा हमारा भिखमंगापन है दुनिया से, वो सारा faith ने ले लिया, it is being fulfilled by faith. You have so much of faith that just faith is enough, that is fulfilling your whole being, and now you have no demands left from the world, whether that world is an ashram life or an outside ashram life, that would not matter really, because deals are the same everywhere. And that goes also with the earlier paragraph where we were reading. What were we reading in the first paragraph? Yeah, the part on fear, because as Kabir ji shares, चाह गई चिंता मिटी, मनवा बेपरवाह, जिनको कछु नहीं चाहिए वो शाहन के शाह. सो हम सब इसलिए फियरफुल रहते हैं क्योंकि हमको चाहिए होता है, हमको कुछ ना कुछ चाहिए होता है. जहां पे हमारा फियर है, अगर मुझे फियर है, फियर ऑफ लूजिंग अ पर्सन फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट, it means that I want some fulfillment through that person, right? So I am still a beggar, and I feel that if that person goes away from me, what would happen of me, as if there is a sense of lack. But I don't see that even if I get that person, first of all, it is never ever possible that you possess a person. It is not possible. You can't do that. That's not the design of creation. So to want to have fulfillment outside, that is our chaha. चाह गई चिंता मिटी. So चाह के साथ, with our hopes from the material existence, are associated our fears. और अगर होप ही चला जाए मटीरियल एग्जिस्टेंस के, कि पता लग जाए कि भैया यहाँ से तो नहीं मिलेगा, ये हमें पता लग गया, अब पता लग गया, अब नहीं भूलेंगे, कि यहाँ से चाहे शादी कर लें, चाहे बच्चे हो जाए, चाहे माँ बाप बड़ी खुशियां दे दें, चाहे जॉब बहुत अच्छा लग जाए, चाहे आश्रम में रहने लग जाए, कुछ भी मेरे मतलब का हो जाए, यहाँ से नहीं मिलेगा. अगर ये हमारे दिमाग में अंदर तक बैठ जाए, नॉट ओनली दिमाग, पूरे बीइंग में प्रवेश कर जाए, फिर हमें चिंता भी हट जाएगी, फिर फियर भी साथ में चला जाएगा, क्योंकि जब कुछ चाहिए ही नहीं तो फियर काहेगा. हमको पता है कि यहां से वो मिल ही नहीं सकता, तो फिर फियर काहेगा. सो चाह गई चिंता मिटी, मनवा बेपरवाह, देन यू आर फ्री ऑफ ऑल द वरीज, जिनको कुछ नहीं चाहिए वो शाहन के शाह. So then we become truly a king. Otherwise, we are all beggars. We are always begging. If we look inside, and as was being shared earlier, कि अगर बहुत बड़ा कुछ नहीं चाहिए होता तो छोटी छोटी चीजें चाहिए होती हैं. अरे कोई स्माइली पास कर दे, है ना, और हमें डिसअपॉइंटमेंट होती है कि यार आज उसने मुझे स्माइल नहीं पास करी, क्या कुछ, मतलब मैंने ऐसा क्या बोल दिया. So we are like that, we are all beggars. But if we want to be kings, then we need to have fulfillment only in the divine, and we have to remember and kind of embed and immerse in the thing that यहाँ से नहीं मिलेगा और किसी को भी नहीं मिल सकता. यहाँ पे हम सिर्फ ऑफर कर सकते हैं. You can offer your presence, you can offer your skills and abilities in this world, but yeah, true fulfillment has to be gotten even only in the divine, and that is what again mother has shared already. नहीं मिलेगा यहाँ से. Yeah, so I don't know why I went there, but yeah, here I am.
It's really amazing when you were sharing about, this Kabir Doha, hum wo Shahan ka Shah. A lot of times when people had described meeting Sri Aurobindo, as in when they saw Sri Aurobindo, right? Like the most common thing I've heard is like, it was like, he's a king of kings, like the mightiest, like as if ke, bas ke, wahi hai, ke the surrounding with that, emanating that radiance, that glow, that mightiness. And he is somebody who wants nothing, right? And he's giving himself, like when we read, on the samadhi, that whatever you call it, the plakat or that thing, right, where it says that may I never forget what we owe to thou. So to be in a room for I don't know how many years and just focused on one thing. हम लोग 2 दिन बाहर नहीं निकलते, हमें लगता है कि ओ गॉड यार कोई वो हो रहा है, डिप्रेशन में जा रहे हैं, थोड़ा बाहर की हवा हो. मतलब सीरियसली, like imagine, like even in the human body with these issues that we face. But what dedication, what focus, and then when somebody, a common man, is meeting him, he's like, oh my God, it felt I have met the emperors of emperors. So if this is not proof, what is? हम बोल देंगे हमने थोड़ा देखा है, तो how do we believe? Yeah, that's also a possibility. Yeah. I think you said Meera wanted to share something. I don't know if she's left. I think she is gone.
She has got a call, she'll be back.
Okay.
ऐसे तो हमने कृष्ण को भी नहीं देखा है तरु.
हाँ, तो हम ये बोल सकते हैं ना कि हमें क्या पता है.
लेकिन हम कोई बिलीव नहीं करते, हम उसी तस्वीर पे बिलीव करते हैं कि कृष्ण ऐसे ही थे, इसी रंग के थे, इसी तरह के थे, और कोई दूसरी छवि सोच ही नहीं सकते. लेकिन ये दिस इज ट्रू कि वो मैजेस्टिक उनकी वो एक ही फोटो जो है सोफे पर बैठे हुए जो भी मिले, मैजेस्टिक प्रेजेंस. यस, सो पावरफुल.
नो, दूसरा हमको ये भी दिखता है कि मतलब सिर्फ हम भिख मंगे नहीं है, सभी भिख मंगे हैं. है ना, मतलब हर जगह दिखता है, ये आसपास दिखता है कि भैया मतलब है ना, वही छवि हमें बाहर भी दिखती है. तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं उसका दर्द भी हम फील कर पाते हैं कि बीइंग अ बेगर ऑल द टाइम, इट एक्चुअली इज वेरी पेनफुल, not a very nice state to be. So can I be one drop of poison less in the world full of beggars? Can I, now that I have recognized, can I not beg? And then we can come some self-offering, that let me offer myself and not beg.
Not only we are beggars, in order to lose our relatives or friends, or we are not courageous enough to raise right voices. We are not able to raise our voices against anything bad is being happening. So we don't have courage because we have a fear that we will lose this relationship. And what is this networking? What is this networking? Networking is a sophisticated kind of begging. हम उनसे मिल रहे हैं, उनकी सारी चीजें, लेकिन इनसे मेरा मतलब निकलना है, इसलिए इनको बना के रखो. तो एक आर्टिफिशियल जो लाइफ चारों तरफ हमारे हो रही है, वो भी इसका बहुत बड़ा रीजन है.
और देखा मतलब यही जाता है कि अगर वी लिटिल सेल्फ, जैसे जो फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में था, दिस नास्टी श्रिंकिंग बैक ऑन वन सेल्फ, तो जब भी हमारा फोकस दिस लिटिल मी पे होता है, हम हमेशा मांगते ही रहते हैं, और तब भी हम भरपूर फील नहीं करते. वी नेवर फील रियली ट्रूली फुलफिल्ड. So if we have gotten now tired of that begging about and running around, networking as you said, for fulfilling ourselves, तो अगर अब हम थक गए, तब जाके हमें पता लग सकता है कि इसकी जरूरत है नहीं, इसका ऑपोजिट रास्ता लिया जा सकता है, which comes as self giving in the second paragraph. कि अपने लिए अगर मांगते मांगते बहुत मांग लिया हो, 40 साल 50 साल हो गए हो, तो अब सेल्फ ऑफरिंग शुरू की जा सकती है टू सम डिग्री. एंड ऑल्सो मेनी अ टाइम्स लाइक वी सी, होता है ना कि जैसे 4 खूबसूरत चीजें पड़ी हैं, कोई, आई एम जस्ट काइंड ऑफ रीफ्रेजिंग अ काइंड ऑफ अ ट्रू इंसिडेंट दैट हैपेंड. सो somebody offered someone like 4 things which were quite beautiful. And the person said that, okay, choose, I want to give you one of these, choose the one that you would like from here. So the other person who was being offered, although he had liked a different piece which was very very beautiful, but there was also a piece which was not that beautiful. But वो भी तो किसी के हाथ आना ही है ना. So that person took that piece, the one which was not very beautiful, and let the other piece which was appearing very beautiful for someone else to take. And this Jetsunma also shares that in giving up, this mother also shares, in giving up desire, we move closer to joy. हमको लगता है जब डिजायर फुलफिल होगी तब जॉय मिलेगा. गिविंग अप डिजायर है ना, कि जो सबसे बेस्ट आपको अच्छा लग रहा था आपने उसको छोड़ दिया वो किसी और के लिए, कि किसी और को ये अच्छा लगेगा, और आपने वो ले लिया जो ठीक ठाक सा था, बहुत अच्छा नहीं था. So it is very fulfilling for the heart. और उसमें आपने एक्चुअली में दिया है ना, उसमें आपने लिया नहीं. यूजुअली हमको ले लेके लगता है कि हम फुलफिल होंगे, यहाँ पे आपने ऑफर कर दिया. सो इट्स अ डिफरेंट वे ऑल टुगेदर. ये बिल्कुल संसारिक जैसे काफी बार होता है. वी माइट हैव many incidences, those of us who are much having much more experience in number of years, you would have seen that how, for example, बस में जा रहे हो या मेट्रो में जा रहे हो, है ना, आप भी थके हुए हो, पास वाला भी थका हुआ है, आप बैठ सकते हो लेकिन आप नहीं बैठे, आपने वो सीट ऑफर कर दी. that gives you more joy, that वो जो आराम मुझे मिल सकता था वो इसको मिले. So these kind of things happen all the time, but unfortunately they don't get to see the light of Google News. All that goes in Google News is what is happening, which is very bad, and that's makes us very sad that, oh, the world is so bad. But no, so many good deeds are happening, but nobody cares to report that because they are not masaledar. Yeah, so Meera is now back. Meera, you wanted to add on anything?
Yeah, a small observation. So when I have closely observed the times of fear, so what not mostly 100% of the time is something in me which wants to control the situation so badly that it has to happen exactly the way that I want it to happen. So let's say I've written an exam and there's a high chance that I would fail, right? But something in me wants to control it so badly that I not only pass, but I also want to get that 90 plus whatever the beautiful mark is. And then there's so much of fear that it like submerges you. And then that word, that sincere self-giving, was what was actually very striking, because if I offer that situation, so irrespective of whether I fail or not, which is very difficult because something in me certainly wants to pass, but at least if I can get, so as a first step, to give away that I want 90 plus, let's settle with I will pass, then it'll reduce quite a bit of fear. Then again I work on, okay, let me not want to pass or fail, I just write it for the purpose of writing it. Then it I think that whole stress kind of reduces, but extremely difficult to implement because that part inside is so adamant for wanting something to happen your way, like not anybody else's way but just mine. So that's was the
इस पे भी मुझे लगता है कि हम ना बिल्कुल एंड तक नहीं जाते हैं कि वर्स्ट से वर्स्ट क्या पॉसिबल हो सकता है ना. अगर एंड तक चले जाएं तो एक्चुअली में पता लगेगा अरे कोई जरूरत ही नहीं थी इतना डरने की, क्योंकि मिडवे रुक जाते हैं ना, है ना. जैसे मान लो बोलो कि अच्छा मुझे ये बंदा चाहिए फॉर एग्जाम्पल, या मार्क्स चाहिए, राइट, लेट्स टेक स्ट्रेच योर एग्जाम्पल. अच्छा मार्क्स नहीं मिले तो क्या होगा, फेल हो जाएंगे. अच्छा फेल हो जाओगे तो क्या होगा, वर्क नहीं मिलेगा या जॉब आपके पसंद का नहीं मिलेगा. हाँ, अच्छा वो हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा, है ना, तो खुश नहीं रहेंगे या वॉट एवर. सो देन वी कैन एक्चुअली क्वेश्चन, इज दैट ट्रू, इज दैट ट्रू, है ना. कि अगर सिर्फ, और हमारे पास इतने एग्जाम्पल्स हैं जिन लोगों जो फेल हो गए. एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन, द बिगेस्ट एग्जाम्पल, ही वॉज लाइक वेरी bad in his school education. He only knew like one particular subject and that's it. And here he is, ruling the world with his theories, and even now we are just kind of proving that he was right. Whatever he shared, he was right. तो और फिर उसके भी आगे जाएं कि अल्टीमेटली हमें पता लगेगा that whatever happens, if we take it to the extreme end, actually we will have growth of consciousness or progress and learning through these failures, which will give us joy ultimately. तो हमारी एक्चुअली में विन विन सिचुएशन है, लेकिन वो हम आधे रास्ते रुक जाते हैं तो वो डर देता है. अब जैसे डिजीज को भी अगर ले लेते हैं, है ना, कि अगर आपका डिजीज बढ़ गया तो क्या होगा, अच्छा आप मर जाओगे. अच्छा मर गए तो मेरे बच्चों को कौन देखेगा, बच्चों को वही देखेगा जो सबको देखता है. तो ऐसी कौन सी बड़ी बात हो गई, आपसे पहले क्या लोग नहीं मरे. मदर टेरेसा आके चली गई, बड़े बड़े अवतार आके चले गए, कृष्ण आके चले गए, श्री अरबिंदो आके चले गए, तुम बड़े महान हो कि तुम चले जाओगे तो लोग जीना छोड़ देंगे। तो वही है कि अगर एंड तक जाते हैं तो वी सी दैट हमारे उसमें कुछ है नहीं, इट्स लाइक एन एम्प्टी बबल एक्चुअली, बट वी रेयरली गो टू क्लोज। थोड़ा हल्का सा आगे जाएंगे फिर वो वाइब्रेट करने लग जाएगा, हमें डर देगा तो हम रुक जाएंगे। बस इतना बहुत है आज के लिए।
Yeah, just to add, right? So, like, I think what happens mostly is that because of this fear, the impact that it has on your body, right? So, it sort of shuts off your whole logical thinking for that 5-10 minutes, and then you're not able to get past that's like an end game. It's like all blacked out that, if I fail, then that's it, it's over. And like your body is already sweating and you're in that state of intense fear that you're not able to cross it.
Actually, there are so many points which are coming to the mind. Like in the defense, those who are becoming officers, maybe Army, Navy, Air Force, and all this. So we have to go through the selection board, and they look for 18 qualities or officer-like qualities, OLQ. So one of them, first and foremost, is the indomitable courage, the physical and moral courage. Unless you have this, you cannot go. It was not only for defense, it was for any job, whether it is writing examinations or studying something or doing some office work or anything and everything. So we have to have the indomitable courage. So if the courage is not there, uh, like it stops you, it covers like a blanket, and you are not in a position to see anything actually. What is the word? So that sort of fear, psychosis, like doctors also, psychologists, they use the fear psychosis. And there are certain qualities, it can be trained, and that fear psychosis, it can be reduced. So our main fear comes when we started from the childhood, and we come to know that we have to die one day. And so that is the main obstruction, fear. Everybody, we may be very important person in the family or in the society or in the country or whatever it may be, but we feel the fear of death. That is one main fear which we have got. And for each and everything from the beginning, it has been shown in our mind actually, that without fear you cannot do anything. So that is the way we have been brought up. That when the Tagore wrote a poem, he says, where the mind is without fear. So first he starts with where the mind is without fear. So their fear is talking about. The Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, wherever there are three things, if they are present in you, you cannot do any yoga or meditation, or you cannot reach anywhere. Those three are, one is shyness, one is ego, and another is fear. Out of these three, all the three or any one of them is there, so you cannot be. Somebody was having pain, and also he has gone to him and asked that how can I, uh, when can I? He says that I have to die. I means that ego. I have done this, I will do this, I will do this, and all this. Unless this person is dying, you cannot move an inch. The ego. So similarly, like all the three, like I am shyful or I am having a fear. So this is it cannot. So indomitable courage is must. And like our President Abdul Kalam, he was trying to be commissioned officers. He went to the selection board, but he was not selected. He himself has told in a few occasions in the lecture. See, what has happened is, it is not that he was not having, he wanted to become a pilot, actually, to fly that aeroplane, and that also the defense aeroplane. So he is telling that, you can do anything and everything with that fighter aeroplane with high speed and all. You have to take decisions, split second decision, and things like that. But he was rejected in the selection board itself. The selection board, it used to take place. Now they must be changing, but it was for 1 week test. There are 3 branches. They they carry out the psychological test, and then there's the interview, and third is the group testing officers test, GTO. So there, so all the facets of the life which will be recorded in defense, that has been taken care of, and they have thoroughly been scanned. Actually, there are certain qualities which can be trainable qualities, and there are certain inborn qualities you have to have. So if somebody has got the trainable qualities in less proportion and all, so then they accept this. It's maybe 1 to 3% people they normally pass. They get through the selection. It's a very tough process, but it is nothing to connect with that intelligence and this and that and all this. It's all normal intelligence, but they have got certain criteria to find out the officer they call it. So in short, this indomitable courage can take us very fast to the desired path which you have chosen. And if we are covered with the fear psychosis, and then probably we may not be in a position to do anything or reach the goal which we are destined. We are supposed to move in that path. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anything here?
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. And when I have a lot of fear. I fear when I'm talking or when I see I'm facing a situation, and I can say, I can just tell them the truth. And each time, subtle some I feel that maybe I'll hurt them, but it's more of me, myself being selfish. Selfish as in what will happen to me, or what if by saying this, what if I lose my job, or or what if I lose this relationship or this friendship? And I see that, uh, and that is, that keeps happening every time. And this realization slowly that for people who really live for the mother, or who are who are like Hanumanji's bhakts, or who are totally consecrating into that, they don't fear because they are not about themselves anymore. My uncle, Nirakar uncle, he's fearless in ways that I find it extremely overwhelming sometimes, because he's so fearless, because he knows that he is living for the mother. So to have this confirmation in the in the mind that I am here only for your work, it's it's not for myself, for my petty little things. And when I'm saying this in real time right now, part of me says, my ego says, what is, like, do you want to be a slave? But then I also tell that ego that, what am I otherwise? If if like every action that I do, that I think I am doing, the results that come out of it, those are not mine. Those are coming from something else. So yeah, so for me, fear is to overcome fear is by becoming selfless, more and more selfless, and to be less selfish. And ma'am, you were talking about how we pray expecting something, and when we don't get it, we are upset sometimes, like some people. Yeah, I have one example to share. I won't take long. When I moved to Canada, right after my student status, I got my first job. So I was changing 3 buses one side, and literally having the best time of my life. I used to read something in the back of the bus early in the morning, and I kept doing that for, I think, 1 2 months, and then I gathered some money, and then I went to and then I booked an SUV. So what happened is, when I booked an SUV, they put my file for credit, for loan, and they told me that your bank has stopped reporting to your credit. like they did not report to my credit, so I didn't build my credit score at all. And without my credit score, the banks won't give me any loan. So I came back, very upset. I sat in front of the mother, and like you're saying, beggars, na, मैं भीख मांग रहा था mother से that night कि ऐसे मतलब so dramatic कि मुझे वो गाड़ी चाहिए, it's my first car. I'm going by bus, 3 buses, although I'm enjoying the bus ride. I have no problem. But still, I would say कि I want that car, I want that car, I kept doing that for 2-3 days, and somehow, all the banks fixed it, got my loan approved, got the car, drove it 8 hours, only 8 hours, the car's engine blew up right on the highway. And, I put all my money into that. And I was like, my first car, pehli baar. And I was out of my mind, and I went home. 5 days I didn't eat much because, I couldn't understand what's going on. And then one day I just sat and thought, okay, the credit report, when that thing happened, that's when I should have stopped. I shouldn't have, begged for it. And then I told myself, okay, next time, do not say that I really need this, just leave it to her. And that thing, happened a few times. That thing did not happen a few times. Again, I got hurt. Again, I, learned my lessons. But lately, I did start a new practice, saying that, uh, 2 months back, I said that, although I think I know what I want, and I want you to give me that, but this time, let's not do that. You decide. You decide what is right. And it really, really hurts in the beginning. Like, it really, it's heartbreaking initially when I'm saying that, because I really want to say, okay, I want this, but now I cannot say because I know she knows better than what I know. So yeah, so I really wanted to share that example, and I really wish to stop begging also.
Thank you for sharing. That was really nice. Mother कहती है ना that most of the times I don't grant your desires, but at times I do also for you to know how futile it is. तो बढ़िया है. It's really nice.
I don't know who it is by. My father used to repeat it sometimes. Like there's from some saint, and the line is, अगर मिले तो अच्छा है, और ना मिले तो और भी अच्छा है.
और
I
भी
feel like
अच्छा है.
there is something, that's why it's not, yeah.
Amitabh Bachchan keeps on repeating this. His father used to say this. मिले तो अच्छा है, ना मिले तो और. मन का हो तो अच्छा है, मन का ना हो तो और अच्छा है.
और भी अच्छा है, yeah.
मैं
Maybe
कह
this
रही थी ना तरु
वंश
को,
राय
स्टार्टिंग
बच्चन.
में आप थे नहीं, मैंने इसको बोला कि आपको बॉलीवुड भेज देना चाहिए, और अभी देखो आपने अमिताभ बच्चन का एग्जांपल लिया. बढ़िया. You were not there when I made that comment. Yeah.
But I think what Jagan had shared is it happens with most of us कि हम एक समय आता है जब हम ये समझ जाते हैं कि जो माँ सब जानती हैं कि जो अच्छा है वो है हमारे लिए, सब उनके ऊपर छोड़ देना है. लेकिन जो हमारी इच्छा होती है वो भी हम कहते रहते हैं कि ये हो तो अच्छा है, लेकिन फिर भी ठीक है, अब माँ के ऊपर छोड़ दिया, लगे रहते हैं. उसके बाद एक समय की छोड़ दिया, ठीक है, लेकिन आधा मन ये कहता रहता है कि हो जाए तो अच्छा है. और the confusion starts from here only, to understand how to understand. Align your will, thy will, my will.
I think अभी नहीं अंडरस्टैंड करते तो खूब पिटाई होती है, तो फिर अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं.
हाँ, वो
है ना,
करते हैं,
मतलब
बिल्कुल
अंडरस्टैंड तो
करते हैं.
करते ही हैं. मतलब अब जैसे ये है कि अब हम सब शादियां करके बैठे हुए हैं, मतलब हाफ ऑफ अस में भी कितना, जब शादी करनी थी तो शादी करनी है ना, मतलब चाहे बहुत ज्यादा आपको ऊपर से नहीं है ना, मतलब सबको है कि शादी करनी है, कंपेनियन चाहिए. अब मिल गया, हो गया तुम्हारा, है ना, फिर शादी यानी बच्चा भी चाहिए, और उसके बाद ये दिखता है कि कितना ज्यादा इट जस्ट एड्स ऑन कॉम्प्लिकेशंस टू लाइफ। मतलब वही चीज जो हम जिद लेके बैठे हुए हैं, नहीं शादी करेंगे तो इसी से करेंगे, है ना, पापा कह रहे हैं उससे कर लो, नहीं उसी से करनी है ना, जो दिमाग में घुस के बैठा हुआ है। तो और ये सारी जिद हम पूरी करते हैं, वही जो जगन ने, मतलब आई थिंक दैट वाज एज यू सेड दैट इट्स वेरी रेजोनेटिंग एग्जांपल फॉर ईच वन ऑफ अस, कि हम कितना पीछे पड़ पड़ के वो चीज मांगते हैं भगवान से। तो भगवान भी कहता है कि चल टेस्ट करके देख ले, है ना, ये ऐसी भी क्या बात है, टेस्ट कर ले। तो वो टेस्ट करते हैं तो फिर भी वो। और मजे की बात यह है कि हमारी जो अंधाधुन है, हमारा जो ब्लाइंडनेस है हमारी, वो इतनी जबरदस्त है कि एक एक्सपीरियंस काफी नहीं होता है, उसके बाद एक और में ब्लाइंडनेस, अब दूसरे में ब्लाइंडनेस के पीछे पड़ जाते हैं, फिर से पीछे पड़ जाते हैं उसके कि अब ये चाहिए, और फिर पुराना दो एक्सपीरियंस भूल गए बिल्कुल, टोटली एज इफ नेगेटेड, फिर से नए के पीछे पड़ गए, फिर से नए के पीछे पड़ गए। तो मुझे तो like, इतनी ज्यादा ये लाइक एज इफ की आई फील दैट दिस इज व्हाट दे कॉल माया, बिकॉज इट इज टोटली ब्लाइंडिंग। उस समय में
एक ही बार से समझ में आ गया।
नहीं, हाँ हाँ, एक बार से नहीं आता हमें समझ। ये हमारी हालत थोड़ी खस्ता है, एक बार से आ जाए तो वाह वाह, मतलब पिछले जन्म के बहुत या तो पिटाई खाई होगी जो एक बार से समझ में आ जाए, बट आता नहीं है ना, पिट पिट के पिट पिट के पिट पिट के पिट पिट के बहुत बुरी हालत होके हमें समझ में आता है।
Mother is telling these are all from anti-divine forces
हम्म
in the second line. So, these are all prompted by the anti-divine forces. हमें ये चाहिए वो चाहिए and all this.
I think for me, the confusion used to happen ki, am I giving up too soon? So let's say something is not coming my way. तो एक हमेशा डाउट होता था कि एक एक there was one voice that used to say, let it go, maybe it was not meant to be. And there's this other voice which is like so much of conditioning, right? Ki you should never give up, you should always work hard. Um, you as a child, you hear stories about King Bruce and the spider and how he went on and on. So Bruce went back into the battlefield. So these are the stories we are fed, right? So we somewhere that attitude we consider of giving up as a fatalistic attitude, and especially in our religion Hinduism, they say ki we are always like jo hota hai bhale ke liye hota hai, so that attitude should not exist, and that you should always fight your way out. So is confusion mein, like I continued for some time, so I would work myself against the tide, against the current, because then it's the ego boost. You feel like, great, I did this against all harsh hostile conditions. But abhi matlab thanks to all these sessions, I just sometimes reflect and think, what is the reason that I'm pushing for it so hard? And sometimes the reasons are just because everybody does it. It is what is considered as a successful landing in society, or maybe it is for reasons which are not really pure. It could be desire, it could be a show off, it could be anything. So if you actually reflect and see if your reasons are good enough, so sometimes you do need to fight back, and sometimes you just need to accept. So I think, but what really matters for me is like taking that moment, reflecting, thinking, what are my reasons and why am I doing this? And if your reasons are correct, if they sound correct to your inner self, there aren't the reasons which are probably misguided, then I do like to fight it out. But if not, I'm also very gracious in accepting things that don't go my way.
Yeah, thank you. When Jagan was also sharing, it was very apparent, and we see this in us, that a lot of times what we want is not something really that we need, but it's just because what will people say, or this is what I'm expected to have by now, or the age, the time, the wealth. So a lot of times my reasons are not a true need. Like most of the time, it's just complying with the society and expectations and images that we have. So, initially also when we were sharing, when Meera shared about fear, the reasons and everything, and when Monica, you were sharing, I feel a lot of times it's about society. like agar if I fail, what will the 10 people say? What will those, my relatives say? What would they say? I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I can't do anything, and then that would take away my independence of making more decisions later on. Like there's not much truth in it. But I feel that if I fail, I would be less. When you were sharing, it reminded me, when I was in 8th, 9th grade, I used to go for some discourses. And there was this girl, my age only, and she had the only child of her parents, and very set thing. So I'm in 8th, I'll get this grade, then in 10th, I'll change my school, I'll go here. She had like I didn't know what I'll do next day, but she had her whole life planned very smartly. And her persona was like, I'm on top of things. And I don't know, she, I guess, told everybody like that she's got 95% or something in grade 8. And then the next time when we met for that gathering, I heard she's no more. She had committed suicide. And we are talking about, like, बच्चे हैं अभी, right? So, and her mother also used to come, and she was surprisingly all okay, but I don't want to digress. The point was that in her note, suicide note, she said that I've told everybody I've got 95 and I didn't get it, and now I don't know how to face people. So she actually just took her life. So, it just shows that how much of an influence what others would say, or how I am less if I don't achieve this, achieve that, get that promotion, get that job, get that car, how big I make it. Like it's a phantom, like you said, it's all Maya, and yet that's very real for a lot of us, because that's how the society is kind of built. That's how it judges, that's how it gives us that push. Okay, this, if you have this, like a house and a SUV, for example, not a sedan, that means you're doing much better, right? You're doing good. So everything is going good in my life. So we keep looking outside for, how, जैसे वो ओशन में मेजरिंग होता है रिवर में कि कितना, या स्विमिंग पूल में जहाँ पे भी कि कितने पानी में हो या कितनी डेप्थ है, हम वो बाहर के वो रूलर्स लेकर वी कीप मेजरिंग आवर लाइफ अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, जो कि अगर दिख जाए कि चाहिए ही क्यों, लाइक जगन 3 times he said I was happy in that bus, I was happy in that bus, right? So it wasn't that I'm looking for some joy or some peace. It was just कि बस चाहिए, exist, because लगता है कि that is so important कि it will make or break me. It's really good to see कि these are the factors, right, that are making me dance or run or jump. So then I can maybe lay them to rest. And yes, maybe with fear, like with everything I see in myself, it has to be done repeatedly. कि अगर एक चीज समझ आ गई है, you're giving it, तो फिर उसके बाद 2 साल के बाद पता चलेगा अरे वो फिर से है, चाहे मे बी 20% डिग्री में है, फिर उसको दो, फिर कुछ दिखा कि अच्छा अभी भी मेरे में है, it's like it just has to be offered and offered and offered and offered, because there's so much in the subconscious that you don't realize it's still puppeting you, not as clearly as it was when you first saw it, and yet you keep seeing those strings that are pulling you. So yeah, I'll stop.
आई थिंक तभी कहते हैं, जैसे माया महाठगनी कहते हैं ना, कि हमें लगता है कि नहीं अब तो समझ गए, वो नए जिस फॉर्म में आती है वो ऐसी फॉर्म में आती है बिल्कुल जैसे पुराने टाइम पे दिखाते थे ना, अप्सरा बन के, फिर वो दूसरा रूप चेंज करके, और फिर अब ऐसे बन के, फिर ऐसे बन के। तो मतलब ऐसे ऐसे रूपों में कि हमें लगता है कि अभी अब तो समझे, और फिर ऐसे मारेगी कि बिल्कुल मुंह पे, और पता भी नहीं कि वो फिर से दैट थिंग इज फेसिंग अस। रियली अमेजिंग।
these days दुर्गा सप्तशती का समय चल रहा है, नव दुर्गा का, उसमें एक चैप्टर में है कि वो पूछते हैं एक साधारण व्यक्ति और एक राजा, दोनों, वो अपना राज्य खो के पहुंचा है और वो अपना बिजनेस खो के पहुंचा है, लूजर हैं दोनों, लूजर वो है, और ऋषि के आश्रम में जाते हैं, और सुमेधा ऋषि, अब नाम देखिए, ऋषि का नाम है सुमेधा, अच्छी बुद्धि, गुड इंटेलिजेंस जो है, तो उनसे पूछते हैं, तो उन्होंने सारा रहस्य बता के फिर वो ये कहते हैं, वहां पर एक श्लोक है कि वो जो माया है वो ऐसी है कि बलादा कृष्ण मोहाय महामाया प्रयच्छति, मतलब अच्छे अच्छे बुद्धिमान लोग जो होते हैं उनके भी बुद्धि को वो इस तरीके से करती हैं कि जिससे बलात् मतलब जबरदस्ती कि वो फिर वो इसी में लिप्त हो जाता है और उसको सही रास्ते का पता नहीं चलता। तो जो हम लोग के साथ होता है।
बिल्कुल, बहुत सुंदर है।
और इसके लिए ये जो हम लोगों के सेशन होते हैं, जरूरी कि रियलाइज करना एज तरु और शेयरिंग कि वो मिनट मिनट पर अंदर इतना सबकॉन्शियस में है कि उसको देखना फिर उसको ऑफर करना, उसको देखना फिर उसको ऑफर करना।
I think also what you were talking about earlier, that quote what Taru had shared and then you had shared of Amitabh Bachchan, what
Yes.
he shared. तो जब मन का मिलता है और है ना, आपने बोला मन का मिले तो ठीक और मन का ना मिले तो और भी ठीक। तो आप देखो क्योंकि उसमें जब मन का हमें नहीं मिल रहा तो वो जो तृप्ति है जो हमें चाहिए, जो कंटेंटमेंट बाहर से चाहिए, देखो हम सबको, हम उसके बिना तड़पते हैं, हम उस कंटेंटमेंट के बिना तड़पते हैं। तो जब वो बाहर से नहीं मिलेगी तो हम तड़पेंगे 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 तड़पेंगे। सिंस एवरीथिंग इज फ्लीटिंग, वो तड़प भी कुछ टाइप तक ही रहती है और फाइनली एक्चुअली इफ वी आर एबल टू फाइंड अवर वे टुवर्ड्स लाइट, we will see that we can find contentment that we wanted to have from that outer thing within ourselves. जो पूर्णमिदम, और वो कहते हैं ना कि हम सब अपने में पूर्ण हैं।
It happens also. Right. Yes, ma'am.
So it's a lot of
वो जो नहीं मिलती तभी हमारी क्वेस्ट शुरू भी होती है, तभी हमारी क्वेस्ट शुरू होती है। और इसलिए जितने भी ये हैं, चाहे वो योगदा रामकृष्ण परमहंस हैं या उन्होंने अपनी छोटी छोटी किताबें जो लिखी उसमें लिखा है कि ईश्वर जिसको प्यार करता है उसको सबसे ज्यादा कठिनाई देता है या उसको उसके मन का नहीं देता। जब उसका मन का नहीं देता है तो उसको वहां से नहीं मिलता, पिटाई होकर फिर वो उधर की तरफ मुड़ जाता है। एंड कॉमन पीपल से कि दोज पीपल हु आर अट्रैक्टेड टुवर्ड स्पिरिचुअलिटी दे आर नॉट एक्चुअली हैप्पी इन देयर लाइफ एज द क्राइटेरिया ऑफ सक्सेस, इतना ये नहीं मिला, इतना ये नहीं मिला, इसलिए वो भगवान की तरफ मुड़ते हैं। This is the common perception of the general masses, that those who are inclined towards spirituality actually they are suffering, उनका भाग्य ठीक नहीं है, इसलिए भगवान के साथ है। और भगवान का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है जुड़ा ही इसी के साथ है। ये वाले इनकी पूजा करो तो ये मिलेगा, इनकी पूजा करो तो ये मिलेगा, इनकी पूजा करो तो ये मिलेगा। और भगवान को भी लोगों ने उसी में जोड़ दिया है कि वो तुम इसी में लिप्त रहो, मिलने में ही लिप्त रहो, भगवान के बारे में मत सोचो।
सावित्री में वो है ना, द कैंटो ऑन
इसीलिए
पेन।
सावित्री,
हाँ, पेन में वो कैंटो है जिसमें द वे ऑफ फेट एंड द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ पेन, उसमें वो आती है एक लाइन, इफ द हार्ट वाज नॉट फोर्स्ड टू वांट एंड वीप, है ना, क्योंकि हमें कुछ ना कुछ चाहिए होता है, वी आर वांटिंग, वीपिंग, है ना, वी ऑल ऑफ अस शेयर्ड आवर एक्सपीरियंसेस। व्हाई वुड, यू नो, इन पैराफ्रेजिंग, व्हाई वुड इट एवर टर्न टू डिवाइन? व्हाई वुड इट एवर, मतलब जरूरत ही क्या है मुझे? तो जो डिजाइन है, आई थिंक इट्स सो ब्यूटीफुल कि डिजाइन ऐसा बनाया गया है कि वहां 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 से कहीं से नहीं मिलेगा, क्योंकि अगर वहां मिल गया तो तुम मुड़ोगे नहीं। और बेसिक आइडिया है कि मुड़ जाओ तुम्हारी ट्रू फुलफिलमेंट ही उसी मुड़ने में। वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। और बाद में, यू नो, इन रेट्रोस्पेक्ट, इफ वन हैज टर्न्ड एट लीस्ट टू सम डिग्री, इन रेट्रोस्पेक्ट इट एक्चुअली वन कैन फील सो ग्रेटफुल कि कम से कम इस जन्म में थोड़ी टर्निंग तो हुई, चाहे कितनी भी पिटाई हुई, बट टर्निंग हुई, है ना?
एब्सोल्युटली।
I think if when one is hearing this, it feels very right, right? That we don't get it fully, or it takes time, or we have to go through the same things, and we are given those glittery things so that we reach out and want to take, and then we see nothing and be actually possessed. Because otherwise, you know how it's said, if it's given to somebody who's not deserving, who doesn't know the value, doesn't know how to take care, it will go worse, right? The same thing, I think, in Bible, in for Gita, they say that the more you gain, like perspective, the same lines show you more. Like there's so much hidden in the same lines that if you reread when you are kind of evolving, the same things you see different things. So this just shows that how this is right. Like, it's so good that I am not given when I am totally all haywire. What will I do? I won't even recognize, and I would actually take it down to the dump. So it's good that we are given bashings and things again and again, so that we recognize fully when we get something how precious it is, and how we have, that patrata, that we can contain it, we can deserve it, we can appreciate it and live it like this and not take it. Buddha's example, right? How we hear that so much was thrown at him, riddhi, siddhi, spear, women, and everything. कि ये ले लो, ये ले लो, ये लो. Nachiketa, right? उसमें भी death offers him so much, and he's like, इनका मैं करूँगा क्या? Like, I'm standing in front of death, and you're promising me things for life, and this is where I have to end up anyways. तो अब दे तो रहे हो, but मैं क्या करूँ इसका? So to have that kind of a thing takes a lot of experiences, right? कि हाँ मैं क्या करूँगा, because मेरे अंदर से कुछ grab कर जाता है कि अच्छा वो भी दे रहे हैं, अच्छा चलो इसका तो wow, that looks good, that sounds good. तो अपना ही obviously resolve पक्का नहीं है, तो I'll keep falling, and it's good that I fall again and I rise again for that development of that muscle, that faith, that sincerity, which needs so much to be developed.
Imagine करो कि मंदिर जा रहे हैं, just having that attitude कि मंदिर जा रहे हैं but कुछ चाहिए नहीं. Such a freedom, like really such a freedom कि हाँ मंदिर जाएंगे, जरूर जाएंगे, but मांगने नहीं जाएंगे.
And one thing, if you have observed, if you go to temple, then even if you have something, some desire beforehand, but when you go to temple, you forget everything. There's no desire. This happens with me actually.
Not with everyone, Anjali ji. Time लगता है थोड़ा आगे बढ़ने में. Yeah, but yeah.
लेकिन this I observed कि वो सब भूल जाता है.
As Anjali ji was sharing, a lot of new age gurus, they are so popular because it's like कि उसके पास जाएंगे तो he never says no. जो भी मांगो, like I remember, no, nowadays, especially in North India, especially in the Delhi circle, there's a guru which is very famous for giving whatever financial gain. And since that has been propagated, like every time, like I had gone to India after a few months, and I saw how much that guru had kind of proliferated, like behind every car, behind not every, but still, because the promise is financial gain. Like, he just doesn't talk in the air. He actually gives it. जो भी जाता है, उनका मंदिर है वहां पे, तो वो जब वापस आते हैं तो मतलब एक्चुअली में देयर फाइनेंशियल गेन डबल ट्रिपल. तो फिर देन आई विल बिलीव, and I'll tell 10 people and they'll also believe. So again, if I'm being happy given trinklets, why should the diamond be given to me when I'm so happy with
And
why should the big,
it feels like this also, ये जो this also is a series of progression कि देखो जहाँ पे belief नहीं था कहीं है, क्योंकि आए तो हम वो सौदागर वाले माइंड से है ना, वी हैव अ ट्रांजैक्शनल माइंड कि कुछ मिले, तो क्योंकि हमारा दिमाग वैसा है, तो इसलिए इट्स लाइक अ स्टेप ऑन द लैडर कि चलो बिलीव करना तो शुरू करो कि कुछ है जो तुमसे बड़ा है ना. तो आई थिंक इट्स दैट ऑल्सो इज अ स्टेप ऑन द वे कि हमने एक ऐसी पावर पे बिलीव करना शुरू किया कि जो हमसे ऊपर है और हमें जो चाहिए वो दे सकती है, चलो लेकिन वही है कि ऑन द वे वी विल रियलाइज कि उससे भी इस जन्म में या आगे के जन्म में कि इससे बात अभी बनी नहीं, अभी और that discontent is there, yeah, even after material abundance. So I think this material abundance is a kind of a middle kind of thing that we have to all go through, क्योंकि जिसके पास material abundance नहीं है, आप है ना, उसके लिए तो बहुत जरूरी है ना कि यार ये भी चाहिए, अभी ये ना पूरा हुआ नहीं, अभी चाहिए है ना, एक घर चाहिए, एक गाड़ी हो तो वो भी अच्छा है ना. So when we are moving towards that abundance and prosperity, and after like many years or maybe lifetimes, if we have seen that enough, उसको अगर टेस्ट कर लिया, तो then maybe we are ready to then move ahead, है ना. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये भी एक path, like a phase on the way towards a belief in something more than me, higher than me.
He's considered the rich man's guru. So it's not that नहीं है, but पहले ही बहुत है और ज़्यादा
हाँ,
चाहिए तो
but
फिर इसलिए
उसमें भी पीक आती है. हाँ, उसमें भी पीक आएगी. हाँ, yeah, true.
इवन साईं बाबा के साथ भी यही चीज है. साईं बाबा के साथ भी तो दोस्त है कि सभी लोग, चाहे वो दुकान खोलना हो, चाहे कुछ भी खोलना हो, साईं बाबा को करने लगो तो सब उनका बिजनेस सब एकदम फ्लरिश करने लगता है. इसलिए साईं बाबा, और साईं बाबा वो साईं बाबा जिन्होंने तेल नहीं था दिया जलाने के लिए, तो उन्होंने पानी मांगने गए, उनको तेल नहीं मिला गांव में, तो उन्होंने पानी से ही दिया जला दिया. यस, दैट, वो इतने सिंपल थे. और अब वहां पर जहां उनका टेम्पल बना है, वहां पर सारा सोने के सिंहासन पे सब कुछ साईं बाबा वहां पर बैठे हुए हैं, और इतनी लंबी वहां पर लाइन लगती है, क्या क्या वहां देखने लायक है. पूरा स्वर्ग का ऐश्वर्य वहां पर पूरा बना हुआ.
आई थिंक वही जो फेथ की बात करते हैं ना, जैसे एक आई थिंक तुलसीदास जी की कहानी है, जिन्होंने राम की जगह मरा मरा बोलना शुरू किया, और उसी से, है ना, उसी से शायद वो तर गए.
वाल्मीकि
वाल्मीकि जी. तो मतलब यही है कि हमारा विश्वास कहाँ पे है ना, क्योंकि पहले तो हम इस सिचुएशन से गुजर रहे होते हैं कि विश्वास ही नहीं, जैसे विश्वास उठ गया, तो अब एक हायर चीज पे विश्वास डेवलप होना शुरू हो रहा है, जो कोई भी फॉर्म में आ सकता है, चाहे वो गुरु की, है ना, मटेरियल अबंडेंस देने वाले गुरु की फॉर्म में आ सकता है, या एक ऐसी, जैसे किन्हीं को श्रद्धा हो जाती है कि नहीं मुझे हरिद्वार साल में एक बार जाना ही जाना है ना, जैसे वो विश्वास तो अपने मन में मान लेते हैं हम, और एक्चुअली हमें ये नहीं पता लग रहा कि हमने वो मन में माना हुआ है. एक कहानी थी ना वो, जिसमें एक गुरु होते हैं, वो विलेज टू विलेज जा रहे होते हैं, और उनके चेले में इतनी ज्यादा फेथ की श्रद्धा शक्ति होती है कि उनको लगता है कि मेरे गुरु के चरणों से जो भी पानी टच हुआ है वो जिंदा कर सकता है लोगों को. ये एक बार हमने कहानी डिस्कस करी थी. तो और बाकियों के साथ वो नहीं हो रहा, गुरु खुद कर रहा है, पानी में पैर डाल रहा है, तब भी कुछ नहीं हो रहा, लेकिन वो चेला जब गुरु के पैर पानी से टच कर रहा है तो लोग जिंदा हो रहे हैं, है ना. तो पावर ऑफ फेथ कि मन में जो मान लिया, वही हम डिजीजेस के रूप में फॉर्म में देखते हैं कि जब मुझे डिजीज है, मान लो आई हैव फीवर, there are a couple of people here, one of them thinks that if I have a protein shake when I'm developing fear, then my fever will be okay, and he actually gets okay after a protein shake, while I can't think of a protein shake when I am feverish, right? So मतलब वो power of faith है ना, कि बाहर कुछ है नहीं है भगवान जाने, बट माइंड की जो पावर है ऑफ हैविंग फेथ इन समथिंग, इट्स रियली सो पावरफुल. और वही हम इंटीग्रल हीलिंग में जो पढ़ते हैं, वो यही तो पढ़ते हैं कि जब हम नेगेटिव लूपी थिंकिंग में फेथ डेवलप कर देते हैं तो डिजीज मैनिफेस्ट होने शुरू हो जाते हैं. वी हैव प्रॉब्लम्स, वी हैव ऑटो इम्यून कंडीशंस, वी हैव ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स, क्योंकि उस नेगेटिव रिजिडिटी में हमने विश्वास करना शुरू कर दिया, तो वो अपना जलवा दिखा रही है, और उसका ऑपोजिट करना शुरू करेंगे तो वो अपना जलवा दिखाएगा. So really the power of thought and visualization, which mother has of course spoken about.
So, just wanted to share something about this basic belief of something higher when Monica shared, right? So, until now, it didn't occur to me that, it could be possible that someone thinks that that there is no power higher than them, because it was very natural that to believe. But recently, so someone got saved from an accident. And so naturally, instantaneously, I was saying, yeah, Mother's grace, it was really surprising that they got saved without a scar. And that person was just like, I wore a seat belt. I was quite shocked. And then not once throughout this whole, so they had to rush to the hospital. I was constantly repeating Mother so that, they're not diagnosed with anything, or, everything is fine. But even after the doctor said everything is fine, not one word about how, like, okay, I wore a seatbelt, so, I was not. And I found that quite shocking, actually, because the seatbelt that didn't save you, actually, right? There was something higher. But I mean, yeah, then that what Monica shared now, like, is something that was an eye-opener to me last week. So
we can tell that person, aren't you amazed that your seatbelt worked? Bole, excuse me, they are supposed to work. Yeah. Actually, mother talks about these accidents and everything. She says that you think that your techniques are working wonders, but actually it is grace only that works, even makes that those mechanical things work. Yeah, but
And more funnily was that person was recommending to me that every time I step out, I should always wear a seatbelt in the back so that I don't come across these accidents. So I was saying that that's really not the solution that I was thinking of, but thank you for the recommendation.
So should we just read this once more? Anybody just, and then we can, I think, end today. Anybody who would want to read it for us?
Yeah, Taru, I'll read. Fear, courage, endurance, effort. Fear is an impurity. Fear is an impurity, one of the greatest impurities, one of those which come most directly from the anti-divine forces, which want to destroy the divine action on earth. And the first duty of those who really want to do yoga is to eliminate from their consciousness with all the might, all the sincerity, all the endurance of which they are capable, even the shadow of a fear. To walk on the path, one must be dauntless and never indulge in that petty, small, feeble, nasty, shrinking back upon oneself, which is fear. An indomitable courage, a perfect sincerity, and sincere self giving, so that one does not calculate or bargain, does not give with the idea of receiving, does not trust with the idea of being protected, does not have a faith which asks for proofs. It is this that is indispensable in order to walk on the path, and it is this alone which can truly shelter you from all danger. So beautiful. Thank you.
So thank you, and we'll end here. And aspiring that, I can remember this, maybe I can put some reminders of this about how fear is, because I do see fear so many times a day, here and there, small, big, and small, small, big, big things. And it's an impurity that needs to be purified. So sharing the merit from this and other things that I might, may, would have accumulated with all sentient beings, praying for true joy, true happiness, dynamic peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you.